That's enough.
That's one. I'll be here other times.
Yeah.
Other times.
Okay, I'd like to call the select board meeting of April 26th to order by roll call.
Phil Coyne, present.
Smith present.
Cranston present. If everybody would join me for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So have you gentlemen read the minutes?
I have.
Any additions, subtractions?
There's a little tiny typo.
Oh, God.
It was a well, here, I don't know if we should leave it, but I just want to recognize it that and additionally should be just leave the LY off, that's all. Minor thing.
Oh, okay.
Carmel wasn't here, she's on vacation, so I couldn't call.
No, but our administrator here.
I didn't
played both
bother him with
roles.
it either, I was going over.
Where is it?
Down in the town property use for 46 Main Street, for page 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line down, where it says as an additional insured. It should say as an additional insured. It says as an additionally
Getting
insured.
corrected.
Thank you.
As,
We're leaving
as
now.
amended, yes.
As amended. I move to amend the to approve the minutes with that one change. The Board of Select Board as of April 12th, 2023.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
France and I. Okay, and we're gonna go, Brianna? Yes? Wanna get to the podium, Brianna? Okay, Brianna is, looking to be appointed to the conservation as our conservation agent. Want to tell a little bit about yourself, Brianna?
I'm from New Hampshire. I just moved to Mass like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm getting my master's degree in geography and wetland science at UMass Amherst, so that's why I moved to Mass, was to do my master's program. And I'm really excited to be the conservation agent in Sterling.
Where do you live now?
I live in Princeton.
Oh, right up the road.
Okay, 15 minutes.
And what do you feel you bring to the table?
I feel I bring GIS skills because I'm a geography major, so I do a lot of mapping, computer mapping. But I also bring a lot of experience with wetland delineation since I take classes in that, and wetland ecosystems and conservation. So I feel like it's a good fit for me.
And you've met with the Conservation Commission.
Yep.
And Matt Morrow,
Yep.
who will be significant in giving you some guidance,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
big time.
I actually knew Matt a little bit before
Oh,
I went
good.
for the interview, so yeah,
All right.
it was nice.
Any questions, John?
Only one. It just looked like I'm just curious. The position you said you served as a conservation commissioner up in Princeton was that for a long period of time? And I imagine it was similar to what you're going to be doing here.
It wasn't for super long. It was for under a year. And I would still be in that position right now if I didn't have a class that conflicted with our monthly meeting time. So I couldn't expect the commission to wait on me to get back to Princeton. So I just had to step down from that and also focus on finishing my degree. But yeah, a lot of the same responsibilities.
Have you been in Princeton for a long time?
Have I been what?
Have you lived in Princeton for a long time, or
Just like 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
So obviously commuting is not an issue or anything like that, and I guess the hours are going to be pretty fairly flexible, which I think should be attractive also. So
Yeah.
very nice background, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the timeline on your degree? When do you finish that?
I finish in 3.5 weeks, actually, so very soon. Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
excited. Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Mr. Coghill?
I missed a little bit of it, but we had the interviews with Matt Barber, and I had several applicants after not having any for a while. And we went with Brianna, and she'll be starting, I think, the 17th as her classes finish up.
Brianna, welcome to Sterling.
Thank you.
I appreciate you stepping in and helping out with this, and hopefully you find some longevity here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, well, it's close enough so that, the travel will be easier for you than some other people. So,
I'll move we appoint Brianna Weigel as our new conservation agent.
Seconded.
all those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
Krantz and I. Okay, welcome. You have to see the town clerk to get sworn in and to take the ethics test, and I'm sure you're acquainted with test at this point.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think we did it this time.
Okay,
Do
so,
I have to do that, do I have to see the town clerk tonight?
no, she's not here, so anytime during the week, she's here every day. I wouldn't go Monday.
Okay.
Monday's not a good day.
Or the following Monday with the election, but
Yeah,
Okay.
but any other day. She's here tomorrow until 11, so,
Okay.
if you get a chance to swing by, she's right on the second floor at the end of the corridor.
Okay, that sounds good.
even if it's your first day, it's fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, there's no big rush on it.
I should be able to come beforehand. I'll just get that out of the way for us, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Thank you.
Congrats. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you don't necessarily have to sit through the rest of this painful meeting, Brianna, but you can if you want.
Well, thank you.
But then we'd have to question your sanity, so. All right.
Good evening.
What? I question yours every day. All right, and then we have an appointment also for the assistant town clerk, Shane. And Shane couldn't come tonight, but he is going to start. Kathy Farrell, town clerk, and Bill both interviewed with him and found him to be a good candidate for the assistant town clerk's office. Bill, you want to talk to that a little bit, please?
Sure. Pretty similar to the conservation agent. We had eight or nine, I think, applicants. Some with, various different backgrounds in and outside of municipal work. And Shane is both a local person and someone that has some experience in municipal things. Let's see, one of the things that he does is works for the Sentinel and Enterprise and covers a lot of the meetings, so has an idea of the municipal work. So we think he'd be a pretty good fit for the town, and
Do you have too much cookie?
I haven't had any of it yet. But probably them banging above me didn't help anything all day.
Yeah.
So, we're looking forward to getting him started. I believe the start date for him, barring any complications, is the 1st.
May 1st. Okay, and then Shane will come in and meet everybody, and we can introduce him to the general public at our next select board meeting. I did talk to Kathy about that too, so. All right, did you have any questions for,
No, I asked Kathy a little, he doesn't have a ton of experience, but then again, it was an assistant clerk, so there was gonna be a fair amount of training, quite a bit of training anyway, so I wanted to talk to her about it first, and she was very comfortable with it, so I'm comfortable with it.
nothing like training the week that you have a town meeting and elections the next week?
There's a lot going on.
Has some good training there.
Too wet to the fire.
Both feet.
Yep. David, did you have any questions
No,
about
no
it?
questions. It's nice that, if he doesn't show up for work, we can just go up the street and drag him in, I guess.
Yes, he is a local gentleman. He lives right up on Maple Street, so he can roll down the hill. All right, so I would entertain a motion to appoint Shane Rhodes as our assistant town clerk.
So move.
Seconded.
Okay. All those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
Krantz and I. All right, I skipped over the scholarships again. The committee didn't actually come up with the names until this morning, so we didn't have a chance to invite the recipients in to receive. We always like to meet them, but we can still award them. John, do you want to tell us about the scholarship?
You need that folder?
Well, I know, I don't have the scholarships in front of me. I think Bill's going to get them, but I mean, there were 6, and one was not. One was in college. I'm sure he just misread the application criteria. One was from Holden, so that wasn't there. And then the other one, I forget the reason, but 3 of them did not qualify. And the 3 who did had very good, really exceptional backgrounds. Should I name them off now, or should I wait?
Yes, please.
Okay. They were Alex Lee Tebow, 60 Redstone Hill Road, Carissa Juno, 8 Pamela Lane in Sterling, and Maeve Keneally, 22 Birch Drive in Sterling. And as I said to Chris and Roy, after reviewing them, I thought they all had good applications, very good, and met the criteria to apply. I had no reservations after. They did very well across the board and applying to a number of good colleges. So there was no, we were able to appoint 3 to the 3 scholarships, so that made it fairly easy.
And
but
how much did you give each?
400 each.
Nice.
So,
Buy a book, a couple of pens.
yeah.
Seriously? I'm sure Brianna could have told us that, or you do, you have kids in college. Yeah.
Yeah, and the 3rd one missed the deadline by 1 day, so that was what happened on the 6th one, so.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to go along with the recommendations of the Scholarship Award Committee, which was John Kilcoyne,
Chris Paquette from the Finance Committee, and Roy Lane, community member of First Church, and Roy's done this a number of times.
yes,
So, now, I'll make that motion.
I already did.
You did. I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
So gonna miss you, John.
I'll miss you too, Mark.
Okay, I bet you will.
Not every meeting.
All right. And, yes,
Didn't say aye.
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 Oh, you're taking the minutes for,
I know that she would do it, so just following.
She could have said no, she just didn't vote.
I didn't hire her, just so you know.
yeah. Not getting paid for it either. Okay, and we have some ZBA appointments, renewals, as well as appointing a new alternate member. Joe, you want to get up and introduce yourself and? Too bad, get up.
Before. Joe Testagrossa, 6 Bean Road. Just kind of went to a couple meetings and decided that, not everything just went by itself. So decided that put my toe in the water and try and kind of be a participant instead of a viewer. So, and like I said, started reading some bylaws and interpretations and going like, I kind of want to be around and see what happens. So just a good way to learn, especially starting off as an alternate. And I think it's a good start.
Hopefully you come and you sit at the table, whether you get the vote or not at that
Yeah.
particular time. So, John, any questions?
No, I've known Joe for a long time. I'm very grateful you're applying for the position. I think it'll be very beneficial to the zoning board and the town. I appreciate it.
I just want to say thank you for volunteering. That I've said this many times, the town is built on volunteerism. And it seems like in the last year or so, we've really had some people stepping up, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, like it. Okay, so Pat Fox is up, his term is up, and he's looking to see if we would reappoint him to another 3-year term.
I'll make the motion right now. We appoint Pat to another 3-year term.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
Krantz and I.
Grateful to Pat as well. It's a lot of time.
Yep. And then Diana Valdarelli is also, her term ends and she's looking at a 3-year term.
Yeah, I make the motion. We approve Diane Baldarelli to another 3-year term on the zoning board.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Kilcoyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
Krantz and I. And then Joe Testagrossa as an alternate member to the ZBA, which is a 3-year term.
Making that motion, or
I'll take a motion for it.
then I'll move it.
in favor?
Gilcoin, aye.
Smith, aye.
France and I. One thing I would make a note of is thank you to Patrick and Diana for signing up again. And Joe, thank you to you. And just so the general public knows, the ZBA is an appeals board. It's not the zoning in general. I mean, the zoning really comes through the planning board. And then if people have a problem with it, they can go to the ZBA and appeal it. Or if you need a special permit at the moment, you go to the zoning board for a special permit. But now there's a article on the warrant that, it's on this warrant, right? That they're gonna go to the planning board, or is that the next? It's the next one, yeah. Okay. So eventually, it'll be going to the planning board for any special permits. Just to tighten up the system so people don't have to go to 3, 4 boards, that many meetings, and have some redundancy there. So, well, that's what they're working on. The planning board is working with Steve Wallace, our town planner, on doing that. So, all right, thank you again, Joe, for that. And thank you, Patrick and Diana. I'm sure you're home watching this. Not. Okay, and then we have the 1835 committee with a discussion on the brick building, which is behind the 1835, which has been a matter of contention for some people. So Mr. Carini is going to speak to, and you're speaking for the 1835?
I'm speaking for the 1835 Town Hall Committee, that's correct,
Okay,
of which I'm the chair, as you know.
yeah,
So a while back, if you remember, I had come in on a list of things that we were working on over at the 1835, looking to get support to move forward on. One of which was what to do with the red brick building behind the 1835. At the end of that meeting, we left it open. We had floated the ideas of moving the building, taking down the building. We didn't have any costs for that at the time, and we also, well, we wanted to move it or we wanted to take it down. We had no costs, and we wanted to find out if it had any significance in history. So I think we have all the answers for that tonight. So I put a little narrative together for you. We got pricing on it. We had an email chain with the Mass Historical Commission on whether it was in the historical register or not. So let me start by the prices that we got to move the building. So like I said, we floated the idea to move it, take it down. So we had an actual company that actually came out and looked at the building and gave us a cost of $41,200 to move the building. We had to set a benchmark for where we were going to move it, so we picked behind the Butterick building because we had to give them some kind of a distance. So that was the price they gave us to move it. It didn't seem like it was a very pleasant experience to move it. We thought maybe they could pick it up by the slab underneath, but they can't. They have to cut holes in the brick and they have to slide beams through, and they literally pick it up by the brick. So we don't know what kind of condition it would be at the end of that. So then we had to come up with a cost of what to do, where it's going to land. So you have to prepare a pad, you have to have excavation, things of that nature. It was another $35,000 to accomplish that. So that gave us a total to move the building of $77,200, which didn't seem too popular. So then we took on the idea of removing the building. So I've had a few conversations with Ryan over at the DPW, and he's agreed to take the building down using the DPW equipment. I gave an estimate here of what I thought it would take to deal with what he takes down. So there's 3 dumpsters involved. One would be for wood, 2 would be for the brick, because he would have no place to bring the brick, so we would have to dispose of that through a vendor. So we had $1,500 in dumpsters for the brick. We had $500 in dumpsters for the wood. So we have a total of $2,000 in dumpsters, and he would have to rent a hammer to jackhammer the slab down to grade. and that was another $750. So that gave us a cost of $3,750 to eliminate the building. Now, the whole reason we wanted to do this is because the 1835 in downtown in general is desperate for parking. So we saw this building as serving no real useful purpose to anybody for anything in town. It's got some old paperwork in it. It used to have some toys in it that have since been removed. So it really has no real useful purpose. I understand that it does have some history because it's old, but I'll read to you what we got from Jennifer Doherty at the Mass Historical Commission. She said, I received the inquiry regarding the Sterling Town Archives STE 580. The building is a non-contributing building to the Sterling Center Historic District listed in the National Register for Historic Places in 1980. We do not remove properties from the National Register. So that tells us that the building is not grouped in with the National, with the Register, along with the 1835. So if you look at the diagram that I gave you, a scale diagram, if that building was to come out, we would pick up 9 parking places. So you pick up 5, we show where the building is, and we show where the parking spaces would be if we got rid of the building. So you pick up 5 in the front, and then it leaves an additional 20 feet behind there, and then we would pick up 4 on the back side. So that's 9 total of parking spaces that we don't have there today. The 20 feet between the two, the first row and the second row, is the width of a small roadway. So there's plenty of room to get people in and out. When you look at the ones that say 6, 7, 8, and 9, there's another 15 feet behind those parking spaces before you reach the small green house that's behind the 1835. So I believe that all of that is still on town property. I'm not a surveyor to be certain if this moves forward. The town would probably want to have that property line surveyed. But I measured just over 15 feet between the back of those and that greenhouse, and I scaled off the GIS of 8.5 feet from the town's property line to the greenhouse. So that tells me there's plenty of room there, but again, to be certain, if the town wanted to have it surveyed, that would only be more proof that there's plenty of room there. So all that being said, it's just our job to put it forward to make the 1835 the best it can be, and all the area around it. It'd be much easier driving in and out of the back of that 1835 if that wasn't there, not to mention all the additional parking, 9 spots. I think that's significant. So we're looking for support to go ahead and move forward with either removing it or moving it. And I would suspect that $77,000 isn't very attractive to move that building. So we're looking to remove it. And then, of course, there'll be additional costs in paving because we're going to have a lot more parking lot. But once the new septic run is in, the tanks are in, and the forced main is done, it'll be time to pave that parking lot. So the decision has to come on what we're going to do with it, because we don't want to pave and then say, oh, let's take it down and then repave again. So we want to pave it once. And I think the appearance, too, at the back of the building is going to make a significant improvement on the appearance of the back of the building as well. So that's pretty much all I have to say on it. I'll answer any questions you might have.
Carl, do any of these costs recognize the remediation that may have to go with that as far as what's inside the building, as far as mold, asbestos, any of that?
Well, I put $1,000 on here for asbestos testing. I don't believe it has any, but I'm not a company, it should be looked at. It's all open rafters on the inside. If there's any additional testing that somebody wants, then we'd have to figure out what that is. But I put $1,000 on the estimate just for something there. But when you talk remediation, I'm not sure there's anything there to remediate.
Well, usually when you're taking down a building, and if you have the asbestos or you have the mold, it's got to be wrapped even as you take it down. And once you get to that base, my understanding is that there might be some wiring left over there from eons ago with Mass Electric. So I don't know if anybody looked at that.
Yeah, there's nothing in the building to that effect.
Okay.
There's nothing in it, there's nothing outside of it. So if there is, I don't know where it would be. But we're not digging under it, we're not digging around it.
Yeah.
We'd be taking it down, and we'd be taking,
The slab out.
we wouldn't be taking it out, we'd just be taking it down to grade or slightly below grade, we'd be paved right over it.
The other thing to think about too is we have been in negotiations with those property owners, not just for the septic, but for the strip on 46, for paving the whole back of that building, which would also be used for additional parking for 1835 as well as general municipal and all of the shops in the center of town. So that is something that's on the books, and yes, they've even said if that building was down, it would make it a lot easier as far as access and egress, so. So John, any questions?
No, at first, that was a question I was thinking was what's in the building? Is there anything we have to worry about as far as preserving it? You've already answered that, pretty much answered that, and no real tie-in to historical records via the 1835. And I agree. I mean, I think parking is essential. It's crucial to have as much as we can downtown. So I don't think the taxpayers would jump at the option of paying $77,000 to relocate it. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So I'm inclined to go with the demolition cost of $3,000 or $4,000, just to free it up for the parking, etc. And I don't see a strong reason for relocating it right now.
David?
Yeah, I see no reason to relocate that building. You know, it's, by the time you're done, you're gonna probably spend over $100,000 for a building that is gonna see little or no use. And really, is the town in the business of being property owners? I don't think we need to own a structure like that.
The other thing too, you don't know really if you tried to move it, if it stays together.
Well, that's it. It's just stacked brick. It's not even blocked with brick veneer. It's just stacked brick. So it's very cheap. I'm surprised nobody's hit it and crumpled it by now. The slide, the snow, and you hit. There's nothing to it. So
Yeah.
that's a concern moving it.
All right, well, and anybody else? Kathy, yeah? Kathy, podium, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
I don't have much to say about the plans and what the town wants to do with their real estate. But it is a National Historic District, our downtown. My name's Kathy Harajian, and I'm the head of the Historical Commission, and our goal is, of course, to preserve history, even if it is just buildings in town. But, you know, you start with this building, what's the next building? The West Sterling Schoolhouse, let's get rid of that. And also the town, I mean, I think you're putting the cart ahead of the horse by, it never was planned anyway. Why wasn't this in the plan 5 years ago about parking? It's not that parking just became an issue. But the other thing is, the 1835 isn't utilized properly yet either for the town. And I don't think focusing on the small building should be a priority over filling up the 1835.
Well, part of filling up the 1835 is to add additional parking.
Well, 9 spaces will not solve the parking in downtown Sterling. I noticed at the new restaurant, people park at the 1835, people going to the restaurant. So it's already full. It's already too full, the parking. And maybe we ought to build a parking lot. But this involves planning. And that's my point about planning. From the master plan that we just spent so much money on, we were going to expand the historical district by, our requirement by the town was to increase the inventory of historical properties.
But it's not historical, the building. I mean, the Historical Commission has already deemed it not. Yes, it is in the historical district, but so is the house next to it, which is in total disrepair. And, you know, so you can expand the historical district, but it doesn't mean that you keep a building just for the sake of keeping a building, and to spend $80,000 or maybe even more than that to keep a building that we're not even sure it can be moved. At first, I'll be honest with you, at first I thought, what a neat idea. We move the building, you know, maybe put it in the common and use it for an info session, or put it in front of the library, things like that. But there's no guarantee, A, that it'll stay together if you move it, and it's really just a detriment. It doesn't serve any purpose at all. What
Well,
purpose?
right now it has town records.
No, it
Official
doesn't.
town. Did you move them?
All the records, most of the records, I believe, have been moved.
Where did they get moved
Anything-
to? No,
everything
they're
that-
in there, town
Anything
records.
that was significant was supposed to be moved by last May. So if they're still in there, then I will talk to the town clerk, because that was the whole idea.
Well, there's no space to move it into the
If
safe
it's
town.
not significant, I think they invited the historical commission too to go in there and look at the papers, see if there's anything they
Yes, and we
wanted.
saw they were significant town records.
So did you take what you wanted?
They're not for us to store. These are supposed to be stored by the town clerk in a safe, like you have the vault. We can't just go in and put them somewhere.
Yeah, we can definitely talk to
This
Kathy.
is a town issue, and, but anyway, and I also want to make reference to you calling the building cheap. It's old, and you could say that about all of the buildings down here. They're all cheap, and they should be torn down and rebuilt. Maybe
No,
that's,
I don't think
you
you
know-
meant it was cheaply built. It was built the way that it was
they
gonna be
built in
built
those days.
those days, yes. We're not taking down all the buildings,
Well,
Kathy.
anyway, my point is that we should be planning. We shouldn't just be willy-nilly tearing buildings down. I don't think that proof that it's a not historical building is accurate. It's on the National Historic Registry with its own number, with its own identifying number. You can't just say that's not significant as a historical structure. So, you know, there's just a lot of, you know, loose ends flying around, and I think more planning in long term would help to develop the town economically.
Absolutely, and there is a committee that works on that. The Economic Development Committee does work on that. But I have a question for you. Keeping a building like that, which basically serves no purpose, I mean, what would you use it for? Would you pay $80,000 as a taxpayer? Would you be willing to throw in, look at the money that we put into the 1835. My goal with that would be, let's fill it. Let's get people upstairs. And they've been working on that. You know, as far as getting everything done. You know, they got the baffles now upstairs for the sound. They've got the tables, they've got the chairs. We can open that up to people now. And now they're working on a septic system. But, so that now is, we've got to keep that going now. We've got to. We poured so much money into
What,
it.
1835?
Yes,
Of course,
so
of
much money.
course.
But how much more money are we gonna, why would we put any money into the little red brick building? Would be my question
Well,
for
just
you.
leave it alone. I would say leave it alone and you
It's an
don't put any-
obstruction. It's an obstruction.
Well, that's how you look at it, that's fine.
I've always
But
looked at it
I see
like
it as a
that.
historical building, and I don't want to argue that point, but I just feel we should have more long-term planning, since we had a master plan, and we want to expand the inventory of the downtown, and the town is interested in keeping the town's character and its historical being. I mean, we
No
can get rid of
argument
it
there.
all, but you know,
But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking just about a little red brick building that has no purpose. Anything else down here that's historical is in use. What other
Well,
building?
it is in use right now, there's town records in it that are inappropriately stored there, so.
Well, then we'll have to
You
get
know,
them
I
out
mean,
before
I
they take it
can't-
apart.
I don't want to, and I'm not trying to argue the point, I'm just trying to say and express to people that preservation is important
Yes.
in long terms, not today, not the $80,000. You're going to spend that much on chairs and shades and promoting the 1835. I just say concentrate on the 1835 for now, and let's use the master plan that we spent so much money on to plan for how we're going to develop the town in conjunction with the economic development. Look at the little gun shop that fell down. It was a disgrace for the town. And now, just through private enterprise, it's it's beautiful and it fits in. And It wasn't a specific plan. It took place over a long time though, and had to go on the current footprint of the gun shop. So I feel like things can be done, and history preservation doesn't have to be, looked at negatively in terms of.
I don't think anybody's doing that, Kathy. I think we're just trying to decide how to best spend a taxpayer's dollar.
Well,
and
don't spend any money then and leave it alone. And let's build some parking or park behind the fire station, develop the parking on that side of town. People will have to walk along the stores to get over here.
we can't even get people to park back here.
Well, you need to put in a circle there so they can cross the street.
It's way, it's too far away, yeah. Well, yeah, we could argue this
Yes.
so it's a decision that will be made between different boards and committees as far as how we go about it, in that at the moment, and this is just my opinion, and as far as saving things historically, and I've said this more than once, I'm all for restoration of old. My house is better than 300 years old. We bought it, it was falling down. We didn't change it all that much. The footprint's the same, we went back to the historic, we did all of that. So I'm not against preserving the history. It's just that when it comes to the taxpayers' dollars, which is what we have to look at, do we spend $80,000 trying to save a building that is virtually of no use? It's been deemed no use by the town clerk in the past. I will revisit it with her. To move it, again, that was my first choice also, but I'm not convinced that $80,000 should do it.
I know the board isn't convinced, but I hope the town will support ongoing planning and preservation of our historic districts.
All right, we're going to get way off topic because I did have another
Well,
question
that's
for
the
you.
only, for
Are
me.
you all set?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, well, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Kathy,
Thank
for your
you for-
input. We're not doing any voting on this at all tonight, just so you know. All right, and then we have, are we ready? We're not ready for you? 10 minutes, okay. All right, so now we have the continuation of the building commissioner's municipal agreement. This is our agreement with the building inspector and the town of West Boylston, which they have signed off on, and we had sent them all of our conditions. They did not make one change in it, and maybe Bill wants to speak a little bit more to it.
Sure.
We're talking about the building commissioner.
Bridget, that's right, came back.
Thank you.
So the original one was that we each had a vehicle for him. Obviously, we had purchased a new one with some of the ARPA funds. So the changes in this would be, since we're not splitting a salary, that the towns each do whatever they're doing, that we provide the vehicle and they provide the fuel for it, and that it now goes for 3 years since, those things are all pretty much rectified.
So this is for the next 3 years?
Yep.
So we don't have to revisit it after this?
So they voted on it the other night at their select board meeting. I think there's a signed copy somewhere in front of
It's
you.
right here.
And if you have any other questions, probably answer.
John, any questions?
No, I didn't, I didn't see, I couldn't remember the first version, but I didn't see anything that looked like a major change from the first version at all, so, I was trying to figure out why it takes so long, but then again, things happen, so, yeah.
Somebody in the past let it sit on their desk.
Yeah, that's right.
David?
It's a good contract.
Thank you, Bill, for moving this forward.
Yeah, it's a good contract.
Yeah, I thank you. I'm sure Tony thanks you. Appreciate it. It's a nice partnership with West Boylston at this point. Excuse me, Boylston, not West Boylston. So
I didn't mean to infer, it took you long. This thing's been going on before you were here, so it's, so. And West Boylston is who sat on this thing. No offense to West Boylston, but I mean, it is what it is, so.
We're all good now.
All right, so I entertain a motion to approve the intermunicipal contract for the building commissioner.
So moved.
All those in favor?
O'Connor, aye.
That's what that-
France and I. Are we ready for the fire MOU or?
Maybe I'll do my administrator update first.
Okay. And before you start that, I want to say thank you. It is Bill's year anniversary here with the town of Sterling. Went by so fast. and appreciate everything that you've done, and will continue to do. Now his ears are turning red.
Don't need recognition.
Just therapy.
Is that part of the contract? So we are working on the position for the shared facilities person. We're looking at interview dates next week. We have 4 applicants at this point. So just a time when Jen and I can get those times set up to find out what we have for candidates. Still working on the ADA work at the bathroom for the beach. We should be receiving, hopefully soon, $100,000 from that playground at the school. The fencing is scheduled for the week of the 8th at this point to finish off the last bit of it. If you haven't heard or noticed, we did start the roof work here, and it's a lot of noise. You guys haven't been too bad with it, but there is some delays on the wall that Monty Tech's doing at Peg's Pond, but the path work is scheduled for the 15th that week unless things are really wet. I know the senior center side of it gets particularly wet with water and kind of, I don't want to call it flooding, but it definitely has a lot of water there. So hopefully we can get that wrapped up. We're also going to work with SMLD on some of the upgrades on the electrical that's there for the pumps and what we want to do to keep that clean. There's a potential for some additional funding for the beach coming through in the current budget that hopefully will get us across the finish line with the plans that we have and the engineering that's getting finished up as we speak. And Monday is the annual town meeting, 6:30 at Choxit, and the following Monday, the 8th, is the town election from 12 to 7 at the Houghton Elementary School.
What month is that?
May.
May 1st already.
Monday and the week after.
Crazy.
I think those are the biggest highlights for things.
Bill, could you make a note and maybe talk to Matt over at SMLD or Ryan and see if it's possible to get some simple motion lighting down actually in front of the 1835 and at the gazebo and at the beach. Motion lighting and,
There is some at the beach that goes along with the camera.
okay.
We definitely installed those. We have one installed at the gazebo.
Does it work?
The light works.
Okay. And how about, can we get some for the 1835? And I know you noticed it, but also the signage that was out there that somebody was really cute to change around. And it was kind of offensive to people when they came to church on Sunday morning, apparently. So I've got a couple of calls on that one. So we did have somebody change it rather than later. All right. So, all right, we'll get back to you. We're gonna.
I think those were the only major updates.
Okay. And then we're gonna. You didn't want to talk about your chat with Representative Kilcoyne?
I mentioned that. There may be some more funding in the pipeline, but we'd have to get over the finish line in the final budget, so.
Yeah. Earmarked for the beach.
Yeah.
Do you hear that, Richard?
I did, thank you.
Okay. So we're going to go back to the MOU for fire. And did you want to speak to that, Ross?
If I may.
Sure.
So I had previously briefed the board on where we were with the MOU with the fire department.
Yeah.
We've actually resolved everything as of maybe 15 minutes ago for tonight. So, John, you're okay with where we are?
I am, Ross, and I was reading it a little differently than you were, but then again, trying to navigate these things by telephone when you don't have the charts in front is, could be a challenge. you know.
Okay, well, as long as you're okay. So, for the sake of the viewing public at home, this MOU is working on a 3-year contract with the fire department. Put in some language for pregnancy, basically allowing a woman to keep working as long as she has a doctor's note when she's pregnant. We put in some wording to allow the woman to be able to breastfeed in private. We cleaned up some language
doing the scheduling, because at the contract 3 years ago, we put in 12 and 48-hour shifts, so we had to adjust some language to reflect that. Both parties were willing to, one asked and one was willing to grant the Juneteenth holiday, so that was painless, also required by state and federal law. We put in some language about paid leave that reflects the number of hours or shifts they're working on a regular basis. And probably the most controversial was we put in a longevity plan to reflect firefighters and EMTs that have been here for 5, 10, 15, and 20 years. I think that's a good way to recognize their long service. It's a good way to add some incentive for them to stay, and maybe some incentive for new people to join it. After discussion with the board, we tied that longevity to merit. So with the union, we will implement a performance evaluation form that will be done end of each year, or should be done by January. And if they get at least a satisfactory performance evaluation, they'll get another %. And we did that by taking some of the money that was initially targeted for longevity and put longevity in at those percentages and 1% if they get the satisfactory performance review. If they don't get a good review, they don't get that 1%. And that's what we were able to hammer out some of the wording for that today. The COLA increases, consistent with what we've done with other union contracts and town hall employees, is 3% for each year. And this is a 3-year contract, so you certainly won't see me around for another 3 years, or more. I want to thank John and David for their help, Bill, guidance in the background, but more importantly, the representatives from the fire union, Eric Ayers and Aaron Clonane. I think they presented reasonable requests. There was no animosity. We went back and forth. I think it helped to talk things through because we actually learned and were educated better on what it is each party was trying to do. So it was a good process. So I'm pleased to say we have an MOU for both parties, the town and the union, to sign tonight.
All right, any questions? Erica, Aaron, you want to speak to any of this?
I appreciate the effort of the town working with us. It was a somewhat longer process than we anticipated, but in the end, I think we came out with a good contract between the town and our union. I appreciate everyone's working together on that.
It looks good, it really does. So I'm glad you guys are happy. Anything from you, John?
No, I thank all parties, Eric, Aaron, Chief Hurlbert participated in this, and my colleague David, and of course Ross, who I think does a good job with pulling the stuff together, pulling all parties together, and keeping it all civil. And it doesn't happen every day in America today, but it was well done and well handled. These things take long sometimes, just trying to get people together for meetings, and that's just inevitable. So, I think that was the only reason, the main reason. I think it took a little longer than we thought.
So do you have a copy? I have a copy here. We can start signatures around, or?
Okay. Yep, let's do it.
You want to sign?
And I thank Bill for explaining a couple of these charts to me too, because that helped an awful lot at the end here. Is that what we're signing right there?
Well, yeah, there's a couple.
Do you mind signing it tonight? You want
Nope, we'll do it right now. Oh, I don't even sign it.
No, it's just a negotiation. I'm sorry.
Fine. I didn't want to sign it anyway.
Well, yes, you do.
This
Now
guy.
that I've got the MOU, I'll start working on getting edits into the contract, and that'll be something for you to sign.
Is this up to date? This is the contract. No, it isn't. Different one. All right.
So So I'll be back in a couple of weeks for you to sign the actual contract.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Aaron, Erica.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, John, David, Bill, for getting that done. It really is a big piece of,
Sorry about all the questions, Ross. Sometimes you have to ask those.
It's okay, what we need to do is get this done.
all right. Mr. Gibbs, I know you're probably here to talk about the brick building also.
I'm here to listen.
Okay, well, Kathy spoke to it, and Carl gave us his spiel. Anything else you want to know about it, or?
I certainly, if you've covered it already, I don't want to make your meeting any longer.
Oh, thank you.
Trying.
I take it you go to meetings. Okay, so, Bill, did you have anything else for us before we moved on?
I don't think so.
All right. So I want to, as far as PSAs go, thank everybody that kicked in and helped out with the Sterling cleanup. It was probably the most successful day for that. That painful. It was an environmental success anyway, and I wanted to thank particularly Mr. Mackey, Mr. Smith, Roseanne Mapp, Laura Ritchie, who did phenomenal work on her own, and so many other people, the Garden Club, the Yahoo group, the Boy Scouts, the Jeep, the First Church, Keeping Sterling Green. I mean, it was the numbers of people that showed up. Would you like to speak to that, Mr. Mackey, a little bit?
We had over 100 people showed up. They were individuals, there were families, there were children. It went extreme, and organizations as well. So it really went extremely well. There's some credit to be given to a couple of our business contributors as well. That would include Pleasant View Waste Removal, Meadowbrook Orchards, Casella Waste Systems, and Hendrickson Advertising. They were all a part of contributing to it. And the three departments in town that really had the biggest piece to help us out included obviously the DPW, who provided the dumpsters and the pickup following the event, and the rec department that did a great job on communications, getting the word out. Appreciate that. The schools also, both of the principals made their parents aware of the fact that this was going to happen and encouraged them to participate. And you've already mentioned the Garden Club and the Scouts and the other groups, so the EDC was involved. Right.
Where it actually all started a few years ago, so kudos to all. Thank you. It was kind of neat to drive around and see all those little yellow bags dotted the roads. All right, and then Monday night we had Candidates Night, and I want to thank the people that showed up for Candidates Night, but also Lex Thomas, who did a nice job as far as moderating it, and SMLD for filming it. And if you missed Candidates Night, I know you two didn't, you can see it on 99, or it's live streamed on your on the website. So that was pretty cool. We actually had a decent number of people. Could have used some more, but it's the way it goes. And then yesterday, Bill, myself, and Jen Scalisi-Mullet, the town moderator, met with town council. So we are ready to roll for the May 1st town meeting. Don't forget to come and get your seats. And as Bill said, elections are the next week, which is May 8th, from 12 to 7. Come on down and vote and meet the candidates if you didn't get a chance to meet them the other night. And then this one is a little bit different. Tonight is Mr. Kilcoyne's last select board meeting.
It is hard to believe.
It's been a long time, John. It was 8 years sitting with John, and then it was another 5 years fighting with him when he was on when he was on finance. So you know, it's, change is always good. Most of the time, I guess it's always good, and I know he wants to move on and play more golf. You know, but hopefully he'll step up and step in. You know, we're always looking for volunteers, and we always have a place for you. So, appreciate everything you've done, John. And we just got you a couple of little things. You don't have to open them now, because people would be jealous, but again, thank you, and see you at town meeting.
Maureen, thank you. Thank you very much.
Last town meeting.
Yeah, I'm not gonna really run away and be invisible for, you know, from here on out. I do want to just thank a few people. It's been 18 years on a FinCom and the Select Board, and I think I run the dubious distinction of being the only person ever to be fired from the Finance Committee 9 years ago.
That's true.
And no, that's okay. We just differ, sometimes you differ in opinion.
It's brought you here.
And it brought me here. And that's another story. But it's been, I think, a really, I didn't know what to expect 9 years ago. I really didn't. I'll never forget sitting on this board with Brian and Bob Cutler and thinking, what in God's name have I gotten myself into? I really didn't know. But you know, you make things work. And I think, Maureen, you came on the next year. And,
I saved you.
yeah, you may. Well, in some ways you did. And definitely covered when I was thinking about being late for a meeting or two, but I must admit, I've only missed one meeting because of the pandemic, and I was good. That's a good record on that, and because I knew who I had to report to. I mean, who would hold me accountable, and that's a good thing, you know, responsibility and respect. But it's been, I think, as I say, I didn't know the first year. But it went real well. I really think it went real well. I think we moved the needle forward in a lot of areas. Bill's summary the other day of his 1 year was amazing. And I thought to myself, that ought to be summarized and handed out at a town meeting as what really happened in his 1 year anniversary. It was unbelievable improvements in many areas, not just infrastructure, hiring, et cetera, et cetera. I think we've made great progress in the people we've hired. I do want to thank Carmen, Jane, and Fred in particular. They stepped in as interim town administrators on at least 2 occasions. And you know, we all know the history, Maureen, you certainly more than I do, but one of our town administrators passed away, Jeff Ritter, a terrific guy. We haven't had the greatest of luck until now. And I'm thrilled when I look back on it and think we have some of the best people in this town, in this building right now, and police, and fire, and DPW, and library. I really mean that. I mean, I've seen 18 years of it, and that's where it all begins, you know, good people, and good things happen. The productivity is up, and we've got to take care of them. We had our survey, salary survey. I think we've made great progress, and we want to keep us as competitive with our peer towns as anybody. That's how we're going to get ahead. We'll talk about the tax rate later and everything else. I do want to thank Bill for making my final year the most enjoyable one of all. It was probably the least work I had to do for 9 years combined. And that goes up to the top. And it just, if you got the emails that we got from Mr. Caldwell, they are complete and thorough and specific, and you know exactly what's going on every week, never mind every 2. I have trouble keeping up with them. I've told him, I said, I don't look at my town email as frequently as I should, so if there's something, so if there's something important, just send me a text and I'll make sure I open it and get to it and all this. And he's done that. I mean, he's done it all, and we're very lucky, and hopefully we keep you for a long time. And thank David. It's been a great year with you, and I hope you continue on. I think you do a great job. And Maureen, I don't know what to say here.
Pushy broad.
We go back a long way as antagonists and then on the same team, and it just goes to show whatever political affiliate, you check them at the door no matter what that is anyway. I think the best work gets done at the local level. It's a little trickier at the state level, and we all know it doesn't really get done at the federal level. And that's the way it is right now. But at the local level, you come in and you say, okay, as my wife, my father, don't judge anybody. Just work, just learn and meet them. As you always said in the beginning, meet the people in this building, see what they do, find out what they do, and be aware of that. And then you'll understand how well they do it from that point on. You can't come in and just be a ghost and just come to these meetings and leave. And that was the greatest advice, I think, for you gave all of us, really, one time or another. And you practice it, and I don't practice it as much, but enough, I think. And I think it works. I mean, you have to know who your people are, the staff. And I think the people have made my 9 years very enjoyable most of the time. There's been a couple of times where it's a little challenge, but you're going to get challenges along the way no matter where you are. And I think we handle them well. So I thank you, Maureen, for being there all the time. I think you're the best chair I've seen in 20 years, 18 years of service. And I'm glad you continue to take that role on. The work you do is beyond compare. I know, because I've been chair a couple of times, but I know that you are you get the first phone call, and you get the first email, and you handle it and with patience. I don't know how. You're not loved by everybody, I want to tell you that. But you are loved by a few people, and I do love you most of the time. There are times I don't, but no, it's been a great run, and I told Bill and you and Dave, if there's something, if there's a committee that I can serve on going forward, whether it's FinCom or something else that has a need, I'll be happy to do it. This has the most time, and I do need to step away. There's some health, minor eye issues and stuff driving me a little nuts on the golf course, but other committees don't quite have as much time, I don't think. In the winter, I can deal with it because I don't play golf and all that, so I'll be happy to help. Let's look for your advice on that or recommendations, Bill and David. And
We got your number.
Well, no, thank you all and for making it a very, very pleasant, very productive, I think, 9 years. I appreciate it very much. I did enjoy working with you very much, by the way. I want you to know that. That is the truth, as much as it pains me to say it. But it is. We go back so far.
I know, it's funny because I say that all the time. I mean, 8 years together sitting here, but then 5 years before that, man. I think I even said it out loud that you were a liar.
You may have. Other people say it at town meeting once in a while. But
Yeah, right.
I've learned to let it roll off my back. I don't know how. 20
And
years
that's what
ago,
you
it
have
wouldn't
to do.
happened,
Like you said, not everybody loves you, but whatever. David, anything from you?
No, I just want to thank John. It's been a pleasure the last year. I appreciate the guidance you give me with most recently the contract negotiations. And I think we had a lot of fun this year. And we got a lot of stuff done. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just thank you. I appreciate everything you've done for the town.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Billy?
It's been a good year, so we'll certainly miss John, and yeah, it's been an enjoyable first year.
I wish my successor the best, whoever it may be. I truly do, and be ready to help out at any time. So.
I know, well, we'll find out in 2 weeks whether you're outnumbered or as far as male to female or
Well, Maureen, I'm going to leave
I'm
that alone.
outnumbered. One of us is going to be outnumbered. But, all right, anybody else, anything, any PSAs? No? So common knows, and it's on record, we miss you, truly miss you. Not that Bill hasn't done a somewhat of an okay job, but. But, okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Joe Coyne, aye.
Smith, aye.
Krantz and I. And if people haven't gotten it, the Martins are downstairs or various places throughout town. So pick one up, look at it before you come to town meeting. A lot of stuff on there. Joe, you put in that, we're off air now, right? Yeah.
Bang your hand.